Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the Ted Show. I'm always excited to have creatives on the show, and I have two very creative young gentlemen here. I have Kyle Ricchetti and Trevor Larcom. We're here to talk about, are you ready? Happy Ending Funeral
Parlor. Happy Endings Funeral Parlor.
Happy Endings Funeral Parlor. You heard it. I wanted them to say it. Happy Endings Funeral Parlor. Put that all together in your head. We're going to learn about the film, how it was made, why, a little bit about it. I think it's a really cool origin story as far as this film. And of course, these two guys are incredibly talented. Welcome to the show, Kyle and Trevor. How y'all doing today?
Doing great. Thank you for having us.
I'm happy to have you. You see, this is the homemade setup here at Citrus Club. So we are going to dive in and learn about them. People love origin story. Especially when it comes to creatives. They got to know, like, there's so many people out there who have an idea in their brain, they have a talent, they have a gift. A lot of them don't get to utilize it or don't have the courage to. So give them a little 411 on each of you. I'll start with you, Trevor, first.
Well, definitely. I mean, for me, getting started in the business, obviously, I mean, it's a very tough business to get into. A lot of people don't know where to start or how to start. But I think that the main thing for me was, it was never like a thing where I was forced to do it. And I feel like if you're forced to do it, you're not going to want to do it as much. It has to be something that comes naturally. I feel like the best things in life and the best creative people, they create the best things when they're really invested into it and they love to do it. So I think for me, when I was a lot younger, I loved acting. I loved being able to, use it as a reason to get away from school. And it would be so fun. It'd be so fun for me to just play different characters and be able to see myself on TV. It was such a unique thing. And I mean, still to this day, when I look at myself now as an adult, seeing myself on TV, it's just not normal. But I love it. I love it so much. And I think for me, getting started into acting, my mom, she knew an agent who was a family friend of hers. And when I was born, she kind of petitioned my mom to take me to auditions. And my dad had recently retired from Chevron Oil. And it was kind of just used as a getaway for me, like a young kid who's really excited, really antsy to do things. Like play baseball, I played a lot of sports when I was younger. It's kind of just another thing, like, oh, Trevor's going to go to an audition today. So that's definitely the origin story of how I got into acting.
It's been a part of your world from the beginning,
yeah,
pretty much,
yeah.
Which is really cool.
6 years old was
wow.
my first audition.
It's interesting when I've had a lot of people who started child actors, and when they come on, when they're here, they're very passionate. And it's always so good for the heart to hear people who are passionate from an early age. And every single one of them has said it's because I felt like I wasn't forced. I've had a few on here who I call recovering child actors, and they all felt like they were forced, and so they never developed that natural passion for it. They weren't able to because they were constantly in a different mindset, or at least their parents had a different mindset for them. So thank you for sharing that. All right, Kyle Ricchetti, tell us about you.
I grew up here in Orlando mostly. I lived in LA for a few years, but mostly grew up around here. And I've been passionate about film for as far back as I can remember. I think my mom would say probably first grade. But watching Jurassic Park and Back to the Future so many times, the VHS tapes probably broke. But the passion goes way back for cinema. And coincidentally, at the same time, the film boom was happening in Orlando, and it was on track to be the next Hollywood. There was a lot of stuff, a lot of commercials, a lot of TV filming here, which was really awesome to be around that. And that passion just continued through college. I took a lot of screenwriting classes, theater, a lot of acting, and my passion just never wavered. And I love it. It's my favorite thing to do, writing and screenwriting and telling a good story and connecting people. I think people go to the movies to escape.
Agreed.
They escape the stresses of life. When people go to the movies, they don't want to see the news. They want it to, and there seems to be a trend these days, yes, of like trying to put more of that into movies, and I think that's why more and more people are watching older movies, because we all want to go to the movies to escape and have a good time, and that's something that goes into my screenwriting, my storytelling. It's taking people on a journey.
I think the journey is important. I think the escapism is so important, and you're right. Like I'll turn on, I'll look at movies and go, way too serious. way too hits reality way too much. Like, I feel like if you don't have an escape, now there's some people that love that and they go to those kind of movies and they love that. But I love to watch a show. If I can watch a show or a movie and I get lost in it, that's a beautiful thing. And so kudos to both of you for having your passion. I love the passion that you both speak with about your craft. And it is a craft. When we have creatives on here, my main reason, other than the fact that I'm a creative wannabe, I live vicariously through everybody who comes on here, is that I feel like the creatives need as much support as possible. And a lot of people behind the scenes, a lot of people who don't understand what goes on behind the scenes and how much of a challenge it can be to bringing a movie to life, a short film to life, a TV show to life, any kind of short to life, an artist, any kind of artist, when they bring their baby, when they birth it, and it becomes a reality, there's a lot of work that goes into that. So I love showing the behind the scenes. So let's talk about Happy Endings Funeral Parlor. I had to read it 3 times. Alex your mom had to explain it to me a little. I had to read it. I thought it was sort of like you're playing me, right? So talk about the film. How did it all come into play? And then obviously we can talk about what the film's about.
Okay, great. And just before I forget, I wanted to give a quick shout out to the veterans. I know it's Veterans Day, so I wanted to thank the veterans for their service to our country.
Amen.
I didn't want to forget about that. So
I love that. Awesome.
And now we can we'll talk about the movie.
Yes, tell me where that came from. I mean, that sounds like maybe an idea I had over a lot of tequila. So tell me a little bit about the name, because I mean, the name itself immediately makes me want to know more about the film.
Well, even though it's a comedy, very clearly a comedy, it actually, the origin story that I developed in college stemmed from a tragedy in my neighborhood. We lost a friend of ours, and very unexpectedly. And my friends and I were, pallbearers at his funeral, and nobody could really process it because we were facing death at a very young age, and it was somebody we were close to, and it was so unexpected. So I think when something catastrophic like that happens, people are in shell shock for a while, especially when you're losing somebody that, you're close to, and nobody seemed to be able to process it. And I just remember thinking, I don't know where we go from here. This is so hard to believe. And somehow from that, organically, this crazy idea about this funeral home started kind of spiraling with, this crazy kooky uncle and his two nephews working for him, and all this stuff kind of just came out of that as probably a release for me. I think a catharsis. And I think a lot of great writing stems from, personal experiences, and many times painful experiences, unfortunately. But we're working through those things, especially creatives or anybody that writes in any medium or any artistic medium, really, I think we channel that pain or that emotion into storytelling, because I think we all connect with a good story. So that's kind of where it began, and it evolved over the years to what it is now.
And so it's one thing. I believe there's a lot of wannabe or potential screenwriters, and they have ideas, but to get it from here to a film, it's a lot. What was that process like? How many iterations of the screenplay did you have to come up with? And then how do you get to the point? Because I know I'll have a lot of people ask me after the fact, how did they get to the point where they had the idea, they had the screenplay ready, and they got it to be produced?
That's a very good question, Ted.
I'm gonna have champagne while you
have some champagne, because it's gonna take some time. But yeah, basically, getting it from, like you're asking about revisions. This story has been evolving for me over the years. I wrote it in college, and it's been through probably 5-6 major revisions, or probably more than that. And I actually brought on my co-writer, Anthony Theodorakis. We've written several projects together. I actually brought him on to come in and do a major revision with me. So then it became a collaboration. It was originally just a solo feature that I wrote, and then I brought him on because we worked so well together, and he brought a lot of life and a lot of dynamic elements to the characters, and really helped me get it to where we really felt like it was ready. And the main thing is, eventually you have to let it go. I think anybody who's in any form of writing knows that sometimes, because screenwriting is evolving. It's never concrete. It's never done. I mean, the script changes on the set. So as a writer, you have to be willing to let those changes happen. You have to understand that when people say it's a collaborative medium, it really is. Whereas like a novelist, when they write their book, they set it free into the world. When they're done and they've let it go, once it's in print, that's it. I mean, yes. But a script is this kind of ever evolving thing, and it's a collaboration with so many people. And you have to be willing to work with others, listen when the people have critiques, because you're going to get notes, and producers are going to come in with their suggestions. You have to balance when to put your foot down on something. If it's something you really don't think is the right note, you have to know to kind of when to step in and not let somebody. Because
it's your baby. This is your baby. This is it. This is your child, your creation.
Yeah.
So you're very protective of it.
You have to be. And that's something you learn as you go along. I think the more you work in that collaborative medium, the better you get at knowing when to really listen in on ideas and suggestions, and when to say, hey, listen, I appreciate the notes, but this doesn't work because of this, this, and this. And then as long as you can kind of constructively convey those things, usually it all works out. It also, I don't know how, because filmmaking is pure chaos in a good way. If it's for you, you'll love the chaos. If it's not, you'll be like, get me out of here. This is a nightmare. But I love the chaos. And if you can kind of find that medium, that balance, you'll be fine. You'll be able to work with everybody and get it done. And that's what's really most important.
So you finally are finished, or at least you're at the revision where it's time to cast. And so tell us about the movie, and tell us who you all play, and kind of give us a scenario on what's happening in Happy Endings Funeral Parlor.
You want me to start that one?
I just want to say it out loud like 5 times.
Well, to finish your other question, getting it from what we just discussed to the screen is quite a process, as many people know. And my co-producer Zach Rusin, who's awesome, wonderful to work with, one of my best friends, him and I teamed up to produce the short. And we spent about almost a year of our lives just basically doing everything remotely for pre-production. So I think that's something to share with people. With the wonderful thing of where the internet's now, it's like you can literally do pre-production for an entire movie over Zoom with people all over the country, and you don't have to fly everywhere to do your pre-production. So that's something we learned, and that helped a lot. And because he lives in LA, I live here in Orlando, and so we did the whole thing over Zoom, all the phone calls, all the arrangements. Way too much for 2 people to do, but we did it because sometimes you have to get out there and do it yourself. And once we got through pre-production, including casting the movie, Trevor is a good family friend of mine, and I saw a perfect role for him. And so we brought the idea to him, and he loved it. And he was on board pretty much immediately. Yeah. And we basically, Zach, who's also in the movie, Zach and I played 2 brothers, Johnny and Marcel, that work for their Uncle Nicky.
Okay, so tell us about Zach and the role he played in bringing the movie to life.
So Zach and I met working at the Chateau Marmont, which is a famous hotel in West Hollywood. And I was working security in the driveway. He was working in catering in the restaurant. And on our many late hours working together, towards the end of his shift, we would start talking movies. And I told him about a lot of the scripts that we had, and he loved all the ideas. And long story short, we all lost our jobs during COVID, unexpectedly, of course. And I had come back to the East Coast. And I guess a year or 2 into the pandemic, I reached out to him because I had all these projects, and I was just kind of sick and tired of writing all these scripts, and things weren't happening. And I reached out to him because I thought about him for a different project, and we started talking, and I said, I really think Happy Endings Funeral Parlor is the one we really need to hone in on. And originally we were just going to do a self-contained scene from the feature script because it's a feature-length script. We were going to take a scene out of it and go film it, like professionally, raise a little bit of money and just shoot a really good scene to kind of use as a sizzle reel to kind of pitch. And we realized we're like, okay, well, we could go that route, or we could actually do a short. And not only do a short, but let's do a short and let's go all the way, and let's make it top tier professional all the way through. And that's where we actually kind of reverse engineered and took the opening of the feature movie, which is only about 3 pages, and we expanded it. Anthony, Zach, and myself expanded it to 20 pages.
Wow.
And that was kind of the light bulb moment. We realized, hey, it's right here. Everything that goes wrong along the way as the brothers are trying to get to this funeral service and they're late, what's all the chaos that we can throw them into along the way? Which, you know, there's a whole different series of chaotic things that happen in the feature, but for the opening, we kind of came up with some new things, some exciting trials and tribulations to throw our characters into. And so it evolved from there. Zach plays my brother, Johnny. I play Marcel. And our crazy uncle, Nicky, it has a failing funeral parlor, essentially. The business is not doing well. And he raised his nephews basically as their father figure. And so there's a lot of heart and soul in the story as well. And we're late to the funeral with a notorious mobster named Frankie Bananas. And we're late with his body to deliver it for the service and the whole family is there, including like the mafia people and all the like dangerous people that you really don't want to piss off. And we're very late, and a lot of things are going wrong along the way. And so that's kind of our characters. And then along the way, we encounter an innocent family, the most innocent family you've ever seen, the Bensons. And Trevor plays the son. And let's just say, without giving too much away, we pretty much wrecked their day. We ruined their day by accident. So I'll let him try.
Yeah, obviously, I play Leonard Benson, the son in the family that unfortunately runs into him and Zach's character. But I just want to say, when I first read the script and I read not just the whole short, but specifically my scene, I thought it was just absolutely hilarious. And I'm so happy to be a part of it.
I love it. People need humor, right? But what I keep hearing, a theme I keep hearing you talk about, Kyle, is there's emotion in it. There's heart in the movie. Is that hard to balance comedy, heart, and then a name like Happy Endings Funeral Parlor? Like that just seems to be such an interesting reflection of totally different feelings and emotions going on.
Yeah, I think if you look at what I would argue some of the greatest comedies ever made. I mean, even Tommy Boy and Dumb and Dumber and Wedding Crashers, and it's just some of my favorites.
Mine too.
Perfect. 100%. Like if you really look at, look at the Tommy Boy, look at the heart and the tender moments in Tommy Boy, like when he loses his dad. Yeah. I mean, there's all this, and Tommy Boy's got more slapstick maybe than we do, but there's a lot of heart in that movie. And if you really look at some of the most dynamic comedies, I think they're built on good character, and there's heart and soul. There's a struggle. And yes, the character, obviously, you want to throw them into these zany, crazy circumstances. And then if it's slapstick, it's like, like Dumb and Dumber, where it's like ridiculous hijinks are going on. But at the end of the day, those guys are like best friends, like Harry and Lloyd are best buddies. And like they have this bond and they have each other, even though they're these two complete misfits that screw things up. And I just think that any of those comedies, if you really look at them, have a lot of heart and soul. And that's what I was striving for with this story. And Anthony helped me a lot too. We found that we dialed in more on that balance. I think we had a lot more comedy, and then we found more of the heart for the feature. And I'm really glad that we did, because I think it's got a perfect balance now. And people need that. When they go to a comedy, you can't just throw slapstick humor at them the entire time. They got to care about the character.
That's correct. What do you? I got questions for both of you. What is it like when somebody brings a character that you wrote or co-wrote or created to life? What does that feel like? Because I know you're on all sides of it, right? So you've done everything. But when somebody like Trevor is bringing Leonard Benson to life, what's that like to watch for you?
It's very rewarding. It's scary at first, but we handpicked the cast, so we trusted everybody, and they all brought their A game. Everybody delivered. Everybody loves working with this guy, and had a great time. And the thing is, like, you have to, even if you're uncertain, there's always uncertainties with film because there's so many variables, right? And even if like some people might be uncertain about a certain actor playing a certain role, like they're not sure, they can't see the vision yet. Everybody else is seeing it. Maybe you're not. Not in our case. But I'm saying sometimes that happens, and you have to, when you bring good actors on, you bring them on for a reason. You have to trust their skills, their instincts. What I would pull from acting class is the thing my late acting teacher talked about, your toolbox, this mental toolbox, and it's the actor's tools and the things they use and they bring. When they bring their work to the set, they're prepared. They've got it all done when they're ready to go, and you have to trust. Let them try things, especially with a comedy. You got to let them go off the cuff a little bit. Right. Some of that is the best magic. with a comedy. Even in dramas and stuff too, when you let somebody riff off the script a little bit, you can't be married to the words. And I would say the biggest thing is trusting your actors and respecting, give them that space. And it's sometimes when things are not working, it's okay. You got to come in and you got to talk and you got to work it out and figure it out. But it's always good to start off with, let's see what they bring. And a quick example of that is also Corbin Burnson playing Uncle Nicky. He brought so much, and everybody brought magic to the table, but Corbin brought a whole different version of the character. And I think this is probably an interesting point. He kind of reshaped the character in a way that we didn't expect. And we wound up retooling some things in the feature version of the script because of what he brought. So that's an example of sometimes an actor comes in and brings in something you weren't even expecting. And then you go back to the writing table and you go, well, hold on, let's tweak this a little bit because I'm seeing something in a whole new light. I'm seeing this character in a whole new way. And that's an example with Corbin. He brought this really unique version of Uncle Nicky to the table. And I think a lot of people see that and really enjoy that character because of it.
How about you? Let me ask you, Trevor, what about the character was attractive to you? I'm always fascinated when actors come on and they talk about a character. I've actually had people come on and talk about a character and I'm like, wow, they really weren't into it.
Yeah.
And because I imagine you have to become the character. You have to at least connect with the character. So tell us a little bit about your process and why you like Leonard Benson.
Definitely. Well, I really liked your first question that you had for us. I kind of wanted to answer that on the actor's perspective of that too. Something that I've always had in my mind mentally when I'm either auditioning for something or when I'm working on a show, working on any project, is really trying to see the script from the writer's eye instead of trying to make it more about yourself. Because actors can be very stubborn. Actors can be like, no, I think it should be this way, and I'm going to perform it this way. But I've always tried to see it like, okay, why did they write this like this, and how can I perform it so that somebody like Kyle can see it and see it come to life, like you said. But Leonard was really fun to play. I've always been in multiple roles. I've been, in a family, and that specifically, what happens in the scene, I think really connected with me. Like, it was just so chaotic and fun that even just filming it, like, it didn't feel like work. That was the biggest thing. It didn't feel like work for 1 second, and it just felt like we were just having fun making something. But you don't see that when you watch it. You see like a high production film. And I think that that's the biggest thing that I've taken away from this and working on this production. Is the thing I'm most proud of, definitely, is that I was able to have that fun where it's like, hey, we're all buddies, we're making this. No, I'm not saying it wasn't stressful at any point. I'm not saying that there weren't ups and downs, sure. But at the end of the day, it was like, we're doing this. And when you watch it, it's like, you don't know if it's 20th Century Fox or just guys, but that'd be the biggest thing for me.
Love it. Tell me about when the audience is finished, they've seen it. What is it that you want them to leave with? How do you want them to feel at the end? Obviously, I could have made a happy endings comment there.
That'd be a good one.
But I figured I'd just say it anyway. But now, how do you want people to feel? I'm always when I talk, especially filmmakers, it's always curious what their response is to that question, because what they may want, the audience might not have thought about. So how do you want, both as an actor and as the writer, how do you want, and as obviously a performer, how do you want the audience to leave?
Well, I think our answer is going to be very different, because for me personally, I've always tried to do my work to put smiles on people's faces, or to just make them think about it and make them want more too. Like, definitely that's something that I've always wanted to make the audience feel. I made them want to be like, hey, I want to watch more of this. Like, I want to see another season. I want to see another, movie. I want to see a second. I want to see more. And I feel like you definitely get this in the short. Like, me, when I went to the Soho, after I saw it, I was like, not even just being biased, like just watching it, it was hilarious for me. And I was like, I'd like to see more of that. And that's what I feel like the audience, for me, I would want them to feel.
It's awesome. How about you, Kyle?
Well, we were very fortunate that we actually opened with the short film. We opened in LA, and then we screened in New York, which was huge for us. I mean, as you know, film market wise, that's amazing, super important, and for the exposure. And we've gotten in other film festivals and more to come. But I mean, it was so exciting to open in LA and then go to New York as well. I think a few weeks apart, we went to both cities. for the screenings, and seeing the difference between people were laughing in both screenings. But what was really interesting is seeing the different things that people were laughing at, because as coming from the writing side, Zach and I were like hiding in the back of the theater, like just like biting our nails, because we're not even watching the movie anymore. We've seen it 1,000 times in post-production. We're watching the audience and just like, you're like holding your breath. Like, are they like, is this going to hit? Are they going to get it? Are they going to love it? Are they going to hate it? What is, you just stand back there and just like, it's like, you're just like trying to control your breathing and you're having like a mini panic attack. And seeing people, at first it was kind of quiet too in the beginning of the film, and people are not sure what it is yet. And I actually think that's great, because I love a movie that's kind of taking you on this ride where it's not clear cut yet, and then it kind of brings you into its tone. And that's kind of what happened. And then as soon as like the hearse came flying down, I'm like driving the hearse and like I'm stoned in the hearse, and I come flying down this innocent little street and crash into flowers. Everybody just started losing it. And I was like, and it's like we had them. They were just on board. And the couple of minutes before that was nerve-wracking, because it was like silence and everyone's trying to figure it out. But I think the biggest thing for me is when people leave the theater, if they were along for the ride and they stepped in, they were in the character's shoes and they were focused, they were dialed in, they loved the story, and it had some kind of effect on, like if they're going for coffee and talking about it afterwards, love it, hate it, like if they're conversing about it, I think that's really rewarding, that it stimulated the conversation. And we obviously hope that they love it, but hey, sometimes you can't win them all. But at the end of the day, if everyone's talking about it, that's great. It means it's striking a chord in the psyche. It's doing something with the audience, and everyone's responding to that. So that for me is thrilling, that connection.
It's exciting. I get excited for creatives like you all, because I know you just pour your heart and soul into every single minute that you're either on camera, behind camera, writing, rewriting. I've not been part of the process, but I've seen enough behind the scenes to know it can be nerve-wracking, it can be emotional, it can be happy moments and crazy moments. And so I love to see what the reaction is. I've been to several films where it's the first time, kind of like when you were debuting it and you're back there. I'm chewing my nails with the people who I've been invited, because I want everyone to connect with the film too, because it means so much to the people involved in the film. And so those were both awesome answers. All right, one last personal question. And you can either answer from a personal or a professional standpoint. And we'll start with you, Trevor. When I say the word hero, who's the first person that comes to mind?
From my dad.
Tell me why. Why is that?
Just growing up, him always being so supportive of me and not pushing me into acting. My dad and my mom. I'll say both of them. We'll do two heroes, but not being like pushy, not ever forcing me to do anything I didn't want to do, protecting me, because the industry is very crazy. It could be very people can be manipulative, but definitely that. And giving me the foundation of like, hey, Trevor, if you want to act, you can act. If you don't want to act, you can act. If you want to, do what you want to do. And I think definitely those two people for me.
That's awesome. Just like an actor changing up the script. One hero to two. I'm just kidding, buddy. I love it. All right, tell me, Kyle, how about you?
Well, I basically have the same answer, but my mom and my dad, because of their support, their love and support, and I wouldn't be able to do it without them. And a shout out to my mom specifically for really going above and beyond. And like, even when I've been at my worst, because it's a very difficult industry, and you go through these waves of it's this constant up and down with work is slow, or there's no work, and then you're working or you're auditioning. And my mom's always been a champion, even helping me film my auditions and all this other stuff, which has been a tremendous help. She was a huge part of the reason we got the movie made. And thank you, Mom. Love you. And I couldn't be more grateful to have the support to keep going and chasing this dream.
That's awesome. All right. Where can we find the film?
So the short film is not available to the public right now. We would like it to be someday.
Obviously, yes.
Hopefully on maybe streaming or something. Right now, the trailer is available on IMDb, and it's a great trailer. We had great editors on this project. I hope everybody goes and checks out the trailer. I think you'll get a laugh out of it. You'll get a little more reveal of what happens in the movie. We give away a little bit.
Some things,
not everything. We have to give you some.
And throw it all on the trailer.
No, you can't.
But for now, the trailer's up on IMDb. We got a great poster up there. You can read up on the film. We do have, the Instagram Funeral Parlor movie, which Zach and I are horrible at managing, by the way. So there's a severe lack of content, as I think is the popular word these days.
I like it.
We need to, one of these days we'll get a marketing Instagram person. But anyway, that's there if you want to check out some stuff. But the IMDb is probably the best bet for now.
And then where can they find each of you? Are you both on Instagram? What's the best way?
Yeah, we're all on
Instagram. So if you want to follow me, my name's on Instagram, Trevor Larcom, my first and last name. TikTok, same thing, Trevor Larcom. Pretty simple guy. So
pretty simple guy.
See more of me, look up my name. But yeah.
I'm on Instagram, Dotson85. It's DOTSON 85. And Zach's on there as well. So if you give us a follow, and we'd love to chat.
What a joy to have you guys on. Thank you so much. I had a great time. Well, get out and support our creatives. We want to get this film screened and out to the general population, right? We want to get more and more people involved and more people to see the short film. So if you're out there in film world or you're out there in investor world, I'll do the plug, and I would love for you to reach out to me. I can get you to Kyle, Trevor. I can get you to Kyle's team, or you can reach out to them directly. But we want to see our creatives see their work come to life in front of a lot of people, so that more people are touched and moved by it. All right, you guys, thank you so much. You're a joy. Thank you guys for watching. Get out and support our creatives, you all.
Thank you.
So important. Bye, everybody.